Hello everybody, it's Miss Kai. I hope you're having a wonderful day. So I wanted to welcome you to our tutorial today and also welcome you to our virtual learning program. Overall, great to have you, and I can't wait to talk more about the violin and sometimes the viola, learn more about music, and get our practice on every day. So today we're going to talk a little bit about scales. So a lot of you have gone through the beginning violin program already, so you know a little bit about what a scale is. For those of you who are new, a scale is made up of 8 notes that start and end on the same letter. For instance, with our alphabet, we could think of a scale from starting with A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then starting again at A, ending at A, and starting again at A. We can use that beginning with any of those letters. So you could start at B and go B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, or you could start on C, which is one of our most famous scales, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now, why is the C major scale our most famous scale? Well, it's because it is the scale that has no sharps and no flats. Our C major scale naturally has the pattern that we use all of the time for our major scale. If you think of a piano, the white keys are all made up of a C major scale. So the C major scale, if you remember, starts on what note? It starts on C, and then it goes C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now, scales are made up of 2 different types of steps. We have whole steps, which are bigger, and half steps, which, you guessed it, are half the size of a whole step. So 2 half steps equal 1 whole step, all right? And our scales, our major scale pattern, is made up of a collection of whole steps and half steps. And it looks like this. So our scale pattern starts with the first letter, or the first degree of the scale. So for instance, with our C major scale, C would be 1, okay? So C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. 1 and 8 are the same note. Now, the whole steps are represented by these little marks here, okay? And half steps are represented by the carets, okay? So between 3 and 4, the 3rd and 4th degree, and the 7th and 8th degree, we have half steps, okay? So that's something that's great to memorize. 3 and 4 and 7, 8, half steps, they sure are great, okay? So 1, 2, 3, between 1 and 2 and 2 and 3, and 4 and 5 and 6, 5 and 6 and 6 and 7, those are whole steps. So our scale sounds like this. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Okay, so for those of you who've seen Sound of Music, that's what this is based on, our solfege scale. So between mi, fa, and ti, do, we have a half step. So what I would like you to think about as we go through our lessons together and as we go through our journey through music together is how many different ways you can sing this major scale. Really, you can sing it starting on any note. So pick a note right now, any note, just any sound, and let's sing that scale together. I'm going to start on this note. La. Ready? So you have your note. All right, it's might sound the same, it might sound different, just depending on what note you started on. And we're going to try to say with our solfege. So, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So it sounds the same as the first scale, just started on a different note. So let's pick a different note, and this time let's start on the same note. So let's start with do. Find that note, maybe you can sing it with me. do. So let's try that scale again together. Ready? Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Great job. So let's think of a scale that we all know and we've been working with a lot during this first year together, or the first and second year together. So who knows the D major scale? Raise your hand. I know a lot of you do. That's the scale that we practice a lot in class. It's one of the first scales that we are all introduced to. Now, if you think of your violin, your open strings are your D string and your A string. Okay, that's the same for the viola and the cello and the bass as well. We all have those strings in common. When we play our scale, and you think of here are open strings, and then these are our fingered notes. If you remember, our half steps, or the fingers that are close together when we play a D major scale, are the second and third finger, which means the other notes make up whole steps. So if we think of our pattern, which remember the half steps are between scale degrees, what? 3 and 4 and 7 and 8. Half steps sure are great. I know, you guys are gonna love that. If we think of that, we can apply the same thing here, and you're gonna see why the second and third fingers are close together, right? So D is our open string. E is our first finger. That's the second degree of the scale. F sharp is our second finger. First finger, second finger. And then G is our third finger. And if you remember, 3, 4, and 7, 8. So the half step is actually between our second and our third finger, violinists and violists. Okay, let's keep going. Open A string or fourth finger if you're working on that. First finger is B. Okay, we're on scale degree 6. C sharp is our second finger, and guess what? Between C sharp and D, that's 7 and 8. That's going to be second finger and third finger on the A string. So that's why we have the positions that we do when we play the violin. Sometimes that half step moves around depending on where we start the scale. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that later, okay? But while you're at home, your homework is to write out your D major scale and write out your A major scale, a little tricky, on your staff. It's okay if you don't know how to draw the clef yet. We'll work on that in another video, or work on that in class. I want you to write it out just like you see here. Okay, so you're writing the note names, okay? And you're writing the letter names underneath each note. And under the letters, I want you to write your fingerings as well, just so that we can get used to seeing it on paper and feeling it in our hands as we start to play and work and practice together. Okay, so that was your tutorial today, or your introduction to our scales. We'll talk a lot more about this in our classes together, and which I can't wait for. And we will see you soon. Keep practicing, and if you'd like, you can let me know in the comments if you have any questions. And if you'd like, you can send a picture of your D majors and your A major scales to me at bridgesviolin@gmail.com. All right, I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Enjoy your time with your families, and we will see you again soon.